Hello everyone. So today I wanted to watch with you and try to unpack this. John Oliver discusses Facebook's controversial new plans for content moderation. Now, I want to cut out all the silly, stupid jokes. Keep in mind, I don't have a laugh track. I'm going to take this as a serious look, and I'm going to disagree right off the bat with the description that Facebook's, quote, controversial, end quote, new plans for content moderation, right? I don't agree that it's controversial. I think it's actually fixing the problem with fact checkers because boy, they did the fact checkers and the fact checkers got it really wrong because when it comes down to it, they someone needed to fact check the fact checkers, especially on Facebook. Let's get into this. Let's see what we got here. And please provide me some constructive criticism because if you agree with me, great, pat me on the back. But where I really find value in this world is when you could provide me some information on how I can improve the way that I see the world, or maybe flaws in the way that I'm thinking, because then and only then can I grow to become a better person than the day I was before. So please put your thoughts in the comments.
Our main story tonight concerns technology.
So let me pause it right here. Let's put this into some historical context, okay? Trump was banned from not only Facebook, but from Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, Twitch, and Reddit. And if you ask me, if you take Trump out of the equation and you place any U.S. president, right, banning a U.S. president, or anyone for that matter, from social media, from the public forum, the digital public forum, is a direct violation of our First Amendment rights and is completely despicable. And I don't find it at all funny. But let's continue. Okay, again, he's using comedy to distract you from what a real important discussion right here. So let's see what John Oliver has left out in his cherry picking of the information.
Hey everyone, I want to talk about something important today because it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. I started building social media to give people a voice. I gave a speech at Georgetown 5 years ago about the importance of protecting free expression, and I still believe this today. But a lot has happened over the last several years. There's been widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political, but there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there.
And, just little known fact, 68.3% of statistics are incorrect. And cherry picking the facts. So it's the center of countering digital hate. Let's just check that out real quick. Let's see, there's their official website. The Disinformation Dozen. Okay, let's see what Wikipedia says about it. The Center for Countering Digital Hate, formerly Brexton Endeavours, is a British-American non-for-profit NGO company with offices in London. Okay, activities, campaigns, funding. In 2020, the BBC noted that some of the CCHD's funders as Pearl Foundation and the Joseph Roundtree Charitable Trust and the Barrow Cadbury. In August 2023, Jim Jordan, the chair of the U.S. House of Representatives Judiciary Committee, wrote that requesting the CCDH provide all documents and communications between CCDH and the U.S. executive branch and social media companies, a list of employees, contractors, and grants received to determine if the U.S. government was coerced or colluded with companies and other intermediaries to censor speech. Responding to the Washington Post reporters, the CCDH denied receiving any funds from the United States government and provided documents as it showed its bipartisan approach. Let's check that reference. It was 41 right there. Washington Post. Well, I can't read it unless I subscribe, and I'd rather not subscribe to it. So let's go back. Who funds by declining to produce anything of substance in response to the committee's request. CCDH is hindering the committee's ability to fulfill its constitutional oversight obligations. Funded by a pro-China investment entity, the CCDH is a British nonprofit that became infamous during the Biden administration as the origin of the Disinformation Dozen, a group of Facebook accounts the nonprofit identified as top sources of COVID misinformation. Biden used the CCDH research to call Facebook to censor the accounts, accusing the social networking platform of killing people by allowing the accounts to continue posting. The accounts in the Disinformation Dozen included our new Secretary of Health, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., now the leading opponent to Biden in the Democratic presidential primary. The CCDH involvements in Biden's censorship regime has made it a target of lawsuits. Most recently, the organization America First Legal filed multiple state lawsuits investigating the collusion between Democratic Attorney General and British nonprofit. So let's see. We're going to open this up. Breitbart. Facebook isn't killing people. Just 12 people on Facebook are. Okay. Let's go back here. Let's check the actual source. So when I searched up the actual official website, let's see, the Disinformation Dozen. Why platforms must act on 12 leading online anti-vaxxers. And I can download the report right here. This is their report. Okay, the Disinformation Dozen. Why platforms must act on 12 leading online anti-vaxxers. Oh, look at more statistics. The disinformation dozen are responsible for up to 65% of anti vaccine content. Don't forget, 68.3% of statistics are incorrect. Okay, so right off the bat, it's here it is. Joseph Mercola, Robert F. Kennedy, Kai and Charlene Boyler, Sherry. Okay, the only one I actually recognize is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Okay, so we know that right off the bat. I mean, it doesn't take. You could see where their bias is. This approach is also keeping with Facebook's failure to recognize the real-world connection between accounts. For example, by deplatforming or censoring the Instagram accounts of some anti-vaxxers while leaving their Facebook and organizational accounts intact, as was the case with Robert F. Kennedy. So, right off the bat, this organization seemed to be pro censorship. Okay, our mission is to protect human rights and civil liberties online. Well, that sounds pretty nice. I mean, who isn't for human rights and civil liberties? Social media companies erode basic human rights and civil liberties by enabling the spread of online hate and disinformation. Social media companies deny the problem, deflect the blame, and delay taking responsibility. The Center for Countering Digital Hate holds them accountable and responsible for their business choices by highlighting their failures, educating the public, and advocating change from platforms and governments to protect communities through censorship and disinformation. Let's see our impact. Let's see. Our work has yielded some great outcomes, policy changes, and coalition wins. We are reshaping the digital landscape by working with policymakers and civil society organizations worldwide to promote online civil liberties by taking away online civil liberties. These changes are essential for establishing a regulatory framework that ensures safety by design, transparency, accountability, and responsibility from platforms and their executives. Okay, so let's do this. Let me look up a quick little quote here. We're going to look up Neil Postman disinformation quote. Okay. Neil Postman, he wrote this book back in 1985. Let's put this into some historical content. This is what Neil Postman says about disinformation. What is happening here is that television is altering the meaning of being informed by creating a species of information that might properly be called disinformation. I'm using the word almost in the precise sense in which it is used by spies in the CIA or KGB. Disinformation does not mean false information. It means misleading information, misplaced, irrelevant, fragmented, or superficial information. Information that creates the illusion of knowing something, but which in fact leads one away from knowing. In saying this, I do not mean to imply that television news deliberately aims to deprive Americans of coherent, contextual understanding of their world. I mean to say, when the news is packaged as entertainment, that it is an inevitable result. Okay, and he wrote this in the book, Amusing Ourselves to Death, Public Discourse in the Age of Show Business. And he wrote that back in 1985. So, and what he means by this is that what you're watching here with John Oliver, right, is exactly this, right? It's missing coherent, contextual understanding of the world. It's not really news, it's a comedy show, but it's packaged as entertainment. What he means by that is John Oliver has a laugh track, he has music, perfect hair, a suit, he's a talking head. He doesn't look like someone you'd see on the street, right? Anyway, so the Center for Counter Countering Digital Hate, right? What are they all about? Really? They're about protecting human rights and civil liberties online by restricting human rights and civil liberties online through disinformation. Well, here's the thing, the criticism I have for John Oliver. I think the solution to fact checking is make individuals responsible for their own fact checking. Empower them to be educated and to actually go out and look for resources and actually play the full video clips and don't just listen to a talking head that I cannot relate to, right, in any way in my real life because he's so fake with his perfect hair, his makeup, his suit, his way of talking. Because people don't normally just talk like this. We don't talk around and make jokes and talk from a teleprompter or from a script. No, we real humans actually make mistakes. They fumble their words. They try to articulate their words. But empowering people to be their own fact checkers, to criticize every information, every bit of information, to critically think. That's what we need. We don't need fact checkers that are paid for by companies such as the Center for Countering Digital Hate. We don't need a small group of fact checkers that have biases, that have been known for dis and misinformation. It's a small group of people that's monitoring you like they were your parent, like you were their child. You're not allowed to see or hear this information. You're not adult enough to actually think critical and do your own fact checking. Community Notes helps, right? Because that open sources the fact checking process to a much larger majority of people. And it helps, but still, I would say, regardless of where you get your information and who you trust, you should always do your own fact checking. You should always think critical. And you should always look at that information with an open mind and an inquisitive mind and put your ego aside and put it on pause and look at it as if you don't know anything because that's the best fact checking there is. Well, I would say that statement is true in real life, right? Um, we deal with lies all the time. I think we deal with lies in John Oliver's show or the nightly news all the time. As time goes on, we uncover the actual lies. That's something that we're just not going to escape as humans. And I think the best fact checkers is to empower a society and children and adults of critical thinking skills and to question everything. Don't ever blindly believe in anything. That's the solution. I don't need someone to tell me what I can and cannot see or hear. Okay, wait a minute. So, is that bullshit? Here's where critical thinking comes in, right? Is that bullshit? Let's see. With limited exceptions, free speech provisions of the First Amendment bar federal, state, and local governments from directly censoring the internet. The primary exception has to do with obscenity, including child pornography, which is not given the First Amendment protection. Good. Does censorship happen in the U.S.? Over the last 4 years, the previous administration trampled free speech rights by censoring America's speech online platforms, often by exerting substantial coercive pressure on third parties such as social media companies to moderate, deplatform, or otherwise suppress free speech that the federal government did not. Let's go ahead and click on this link from the whitehouse.gov. Okay, so this is an executive order that was signed this year. Let's judge this on the merit of the content here. What's the purpose? The First Amendment of the United States Constitution, and an amendment essential to the success of our republic, enshrines the right of the people to speak freely in the public square without government interference. Over the last 4 years, the previous administration trampled free speech rights by censoring American speech on online platforms, often by exerting substantial coercive pressure on third parties, such as social media companies, to moderate, deplatform, or otherwise suppress speech that the federal government did not approve, under the guise of combating misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. The federal government infringed on the constitutionality, protected free speech rights of American citizens across the United States in a manner that advanced the government's preferred narrative about significant matters of public debate. Government censorship of speech is intolerable in a free society. I agree with that 100%. The policy is to secure the right of the American people to engage in constitutionally protected speech, to ensure that no federal government officer, employee, or agent engages in or facilitates any conduct that would unconstitutionally abridge the free speech of any American citizen, to ensure that no taxpayer resources are used to engage or facilitate any conduct that would unconstitutionally abridge the free speech of any American citizen, and identify and take appropriate action to correct past misconducts by the federal government related to censorship of protected speech. That's excellent. I really like this. What I've read here so far, I agree with 100%. No, so John Oliver says that's bullshit. Well, if we look here at the Center for Countering Digital Hate, is we found right here that their mission is to protect human rights and civil liberties online. Social media companies erode basic human rights and civil liberties by enabling the spread of online hate and disinformation. So, how are they to solve this in the name of protecting human rights and civil liberties online? Through censorship. He said bullshit, but I'm going to say, well, that's not entirely true. Okay, well, I don't really find that funny. Let's see. Let's put that into some historical context. In October 2020, a controversy arose involving a laptop that belonged to Hunter Biden. Okay, so social media companies block links to it while other news outlets decline to publish the story due to concerns that it was Russian disinformation. On October 19th, 2020, which would have been October 19th, 2020, an open letter signed by 51 former U.S. intelligence officials said the laptop has all the classic earmarks of Russian disinformation operation. See how that's posed? It's not saying that it is Russian disinformation, but it says it has all the classic earmarks. So they're saying, oh, it resembles Russian disinformation, right? However, in May of 2023, no evidence had publicly surfaced to support suspicions that the laptop was part of a Russian disinformation scheme. Okay, so let's go back to John Oliver. I'm going to rewind it just a little bit.
Coming after our company. It was brutal.
He's clearly pandering to Joe Rogan and his audience there, although...
Okay, he just said he's clearly pandering to Joe Rogan and his audience here. John Oliver, I think you're guilty of that way more, because I'll tell you what, Mark Zuckerberg looks more truthful because he looks more real than your fake hair, your makeup, and your fancy suit while you're pandering to your audience.
Many seem too distracted by his outfit for that to work well, given comments under that video include, bro dressed like undercover cop. I thought this was Lil Dicky, and why is a 40-year-old billionaire dressed like my 25-year-old shrew?
Okay, so here he's using these posts to distract you from the very important information that Mark Zuckerberg was saying at this Joe Rogan. I've heard the full Joe Rogan Experience, episode 2255 with Mark Zuckerberg. If you look, he talked to Joe Rogan for over 2 hours. I don't know about you out there, but if multiple federal government agencies like the FBI and Homeland Security was calling me up, telling me what to do and cussing to me, yeah, you're right, I could say no. Or I could fear for my life and actually just submit because I don't want to be jailed or be a victim of the many dirty tricks that our federal government has historically been known to do. So you're downplaying it and you're pandering to your audience. You're really despicable here. Avoiding actual historical context and having a meaningful discussion about the importance of our First Amendment rights.